My fiancée texted me at 2 a.m. saying she was at her ex's house and told me to come pick her up. Otherwise, she wouldn't marry me. I didn't say anything. I just took a screenshot of her location and sent it to her ex's pregnant wife. The next day, both of them were standing at my door. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I never thought I'd be the guy telling this story. My name's irrelevant, but what matters is that 3 months ago, I was planning a wedding. I'm a systems analyst for a mid-sized tech firm in Denver. Decent job, decent salary, decent life. Or so I thought. I'd been with Lauren for 2.5 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue, hit it off over terrible beer and even worse jokes. And somewhere between month 6 and month 12, I convinced myself she was the one. Lauren was a marketing coordinator at a boutique agency downtown. Ambitious, sharp, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and own it without saying a word. She had this laugh that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. She'd throw her head back, completely unself-conscious, and it was infectious. Looking back, I realize I mistook confidence for honesty. Big mistake. We got engaged last November. Nothing fancy. I proposed at this little cabin we'd rented in the Rockies during a weekend getaway. We'd spent the day hiking, and by evening we were sitting on the porch watching the sunset paint the mountains orange and purple. I had the ring in my jacket pocket for 3 days, waiting for the perfect moment. When it came, I just asked. Simple. She cried. I cried. We called our families. We posted the obligatory ring photo on Instagram, her hand against the mountain backdrop, diamond catching the light. Her friends flooded the comments with congratulations and heart emojis. My mom called me crying happy tears, saying she always knew Lauren was special. Everything felt right. Except it wasn't. Update 1. The problems started subtle. Little things you tell yourself don't mean anything because you don't want them to. She'd be on her phone more than usual, smiling at texts she wouldn't share. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd say just work stuff or Hannah from the office. I'm not a paranoid guy. Never have been. I've always believed trust is the foundation of a relationship. But something fell off, like a picture frame hanging just slightly crooked. You can ignore it for a while, but eventually, it's all you can see. Then there were the late nights. She'd tell me she had client dinners or team meetings that ran long, and I believed her, because why wouldn't I? Her job was demanding. Marketing agencies thrive on chaos and last-minute everything. I'd been to enough of her work events to know the culture. So when she'd text me at 8 saying she'd be home by 10 and roll in at midnight, I'd swallow the frustration and remind myself this was temporary. After the wedding, things would settle down. About 6 weeks before the wedding, I started noticing a name that kept popping up, Adrian. She'd mention him casually. Adrian thinks we should pivot the campaign, or Adrian suggested this restaurant for the rehearsal dinner. At first, I thought he was a colleague, maybe a new creative director or account manager. I didn't think much of it because Lauren talked about work all the time. But then the mentions became more frequent. Adrian and I grabbed lunch today. Adrian sent me this hilarious meme. Adrian says we're overthinking the seating chart. One night in late September, we were watching some forgettable Netflix series on the couch. Her phone was on the coffee table, and it buzzed. The preview lit up the screen. Miss you too. Can't wait to see you again. I glanced over. She snatched the phone away before I could read who sent it, her whole body tensing. Who's that? I asked, keeping my tone light, casual. Nobody. Just Hannah being dramatic about something. Hannah? That didn't sound like Hannah. Her face flushed. Why are you interrogating me? I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking a question. Jesus. Can I not have a conversation without you breathing down my neck? She stood up, suddenly defensive, her voice rising. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're always watching, always questioning. Always questioning. Lauren, I asked who texted you. She grabbed her phone and walked into the bedroom, closing the door harder than necessary. I sat there on the couch, the TV still playing, feeling like I'd just stepped on a landmine I didn't know was there. She came out 20 minutes later, apologized for overreacting, and we went to bed. But something had shifted. The air between us felt different. I let it go. I shouldn't have. 2 weeks before the wedding, things escalated. We were supposed to have dinner with her parents at this Italian place they loved in Cherry Creek. Final details for the reception, confirming the final guest count, discussing the timeline, boring but necessary stuff. She texted me at 6:30 p.m. saying she'd be late, had to finish something urgent at work. No problem. I told her parents she was running behind, and we ordered appetizers. By 8 p.m., she still wasn't there. I called twice. No answer. Her mom was getting worried, asking if everything was okay. By 9 o'clock, her dad was irritated, checking his watch every few minutes. I texted her, "Where are you? Your parents are waiting." Nothing. Finally, I tracked her location. We had each other's locations shared on Find My Friends. Practical for a couple, right? Makes meeting up easier, gives peace of mind if someone's running late. She was at some address on the east side of town. Not her office. Not anywhere I recognized. Just a residential street I'd never heard of. I called again. Straight to voicemail. At 10:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Sorry, babe. Work ran super late. Heading home now." She walked in at 11:20. Hair slightly messed up. Makeup smudged around her eyes like she'd been rubbing them. She smelled like cologne, not mine. Something woodsy and unfamiliar. "Where were you?" I asked. "I was sitting in the living room, lights off except for the lamp in the corner." "I told you work." "Lauren, you weren't at the office." Her face went blank. "Are you tracking me? You're an hour late to dinner with your parents, you didn't answer your phone, and you weren't where you said you'd be." "Yeah, I checked." "That's psychotic. That's not an answer. I don't owe you a minute-by-minute breakdown of my day. Your parents sat at that restaurant for 2.5 hours waiting for you. Your mom was worried sick. Your dad thought something happened to you. All I'm asking is where you were." She grabbed her purse, hands shaking, and locked herself in the bathroom. I heard the water running. When she came out 15 minutes later, her face was washed clean, hair pulled back, and she acted like nothing happened. She got into bed without a word. We laid there in the dark, not touching, the space between us feeling like miles. The next morning, she apologized to her parents over the phone, told them there was a crisis with a client campaign. They seemed to buy it. I didn't press the issue. We had a wedding to finish planning. I told myself I was overthinking things. Stress does weird things to people. Maybe she really was just overwhelmed. Update 2. The real breaking point came 8 days before the wedding. October 12th. A Thursday night. I'd been working late trying to finish a system migration project before taking time off for the honeymoon. My manager needed everything documented and tested before I left for 2 weeks. Around 11:30 p.m., I finally got home, exhausted, ready to collapse into bed and sleep for 10 hours. Lauren wasn't there. Her car was gone. The apartment was dark. I texted her, "Where are you?" No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. I made myself a sandwich, thinking maybe she'd gone to pick up food or was at a late pharmacy run. But by midnight, I was pacing the apartment. This wasn't normal. Even during her latest nights, she'd text me. Let me know where she was. We communicated. That was our thing. I opened the location app. She was at a house about 20 minutes away in a residential neighborhood off Colorado Boulevard. I pulled up the address on Google Maps. Just a normal suburban street. Trees, driveways, 2-story houses with front porches. I thought maybe she was at a friend's place. Maybe there was some last-minute bachelorette thing I didn't know about. Maybe Sienna had surprised her with something. But she would have told me. I stared at that blue dot on my screen, not moving, just sitting there at that address. My mind was racing through possibilities, each one worse than the last. Then, at 2:07 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Lauren, I'm at Adrian's. Come pick me up, or I'm not marrying you." I read that message 5 times. 6. 7. My brain couldn't process it. Adrian. Her ex-boyfriend. The guy she dated for 3 years before we met. The guy she told me about on our 4th date, casually mentioning she had a serious relationship in her mid-20s that didn't work out. The guy she swore she had 0 contact with. The guy she told me was ancient history when I asked if they were still friends. And she was at his house. At 2 in the morning. 8 days before our wedding. Threatening to call off our marriage if I didn't come pick her up. What the hell was I supposed to do with that? Part of me wanted to get in the car immediately. Drive over there. Drag her out. Demand answers. The other part, the part that was quickly taking over, felt cold. Detached. Like I was watching this happen to someone else. I didn't respond. I sat on the couch in the dark, phone in my hand, staring at that message. Then I opened her location again. Still there. Blue dot, not moving. I took a screenshot, pinned location, timestamp, the little 2:07 a.m. in the corner, everything. Then I did something I'm still not sure was the right move, but in that moment, it felt like the only move that made sense. I found Adrian's Instagram. Took me about 2 minutes of searching through Lauren's tagged photos. His profile was public. Recent post from 3 days ago. A photo of him and his very pregnant wife, Camila, standing in a newly painted nursery. Soft yellow walls, white crib, stuffed animals on shelves. Caption: 3 weeks until we meet you, little one. Can't wait to be a dad. redheart@cami.torres. I clicked on Camila's profile. Also public. Photos of her baby bump, maternity shoots, cravings jokes, pregnancy updates. She looked happy, glowing, excited. I sent her a DM. No explanation. No context. Just the screenshot of Lauren's location at Adrian's house with the timestamp, 2:07 a.m. Then I turned off my phone and went to bed. I didn't sleep. I just laid there staring at the ceiling, listening to every car that drove past, wondering if one of them was Lauren coming home. None of them were. Update 3. I woke up the next morning to 73 notifications. Texts, calls, voicemails. Most from Lauren. A few from numbers I didn't recognize. 1 from Sienna. 2 from Lauren's mom. I ignored all of them, made coffee, and sat on the couch staring at nothing. The TV was off. The apartment was silent. I felt numb. My phone kept buzzing. I finally turned it face down on the coffee table. Around 9:30 a.m., someone knocked on the door. Hard. Angry knocking. The kind that makes your neighbors peek through their windows. I opened it. Lauren and Adrian were standing there. Both looked like they'd been through hell. Lauren's eyes were red and swollen. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. She was wearing the same clothes from the night before, jeans, and the oversized burgundy sweater I'd bought her last Christmas. Adrian looked pale, like he might throw up. He had dark circles under his eyes, and his hair was a mess. What the hell did you do? Lauren's voice was shaking, but I couldn't tell if it was from anger or fear or exhaustion. Good morning to you too, I said, leaning against the doorframe. You sent that screenshot to Camila? Yep. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've done? I looked at Adrian. He wouldn't meet my eyes, just stared at the ground like a kid caught doing something he knew was wrong. What I've done, I said slowly, letting each word hang in the air. Lauren, you were at your ex-boyfriend's house at 2 in the morning a week before our wedding and threatened to call it off if I didn't come get you. What exactly did you expect me to do? It's not what you think, Adrian said quietly. Then enlighten me. Lauren cut him off, her voice rising. It doesn't matter. You ruined his life. Camila kicked him out. She's filing for divorce. She's 8 months pregnant, and you just destroyed their family. I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. I destroyed their family? I sent a screenshot. Lauren, I didn't make you go over there. I didn't make you stay until 2 in the morning. I didn't make you text me that insane ultimatum. That was all you. Nothing happened, she screamed. A neighbor's door opened down the hall. We were just talking. At 2 a.m.? For 4 hours? Talking about what? She didn't answer. Just stood there, tears streaming down her face, arms crossed over her chest. Adrian finally spoke, his voice tired. Look, man, I'm sorry. This got out of hand. Lauren showed up at my place around 10. She was upset about the wedding, about you guys, about everything. We talked. It got late. I should have driven her home. I didn't. That's on me. But nothing physical happened. We just talked. Why was she upset about us? Silence. The hallway felt like it was closing in. Why, Lauren? She looked at the ground, her voice barely a whisper. Because I wasn't sure anymore. The words hit like a freight train. My chest tightened. You weren't sure about marrying me, so you went to your ex's house? At 10 at night? 8 days before the wedding. He's the only one who understands. Understands what? Everything. Her voice cracked. You don't get it. You don't get me. You never have. Adrian does. He always has. He knows me in a way you never will. That stung. More than I expected. Then why'd you leave him? If he's so perfect, if he gets you so well, why aren't you with him? More silence. Adrian cleared his throat. We broke up because I cheated on her. With Camila. And there it was. The missing piece. So let me get this straight, I said, looking between them. You cheated on Lauren with Camila. Lauren was devastated. You married Camila. Got her pregnant. And now Lauren's coming to you for emotional support about marrying me, because you understand her? Do you hear how insane that sounds? It's complicated, Lauren said weakly. No, it's not. It's actually pretty simple. I stepped back into my apartment. We're done. Wedding's off. Get your stuff out of here by this weekend. Wait, Lauren reached for me. No, I'm done. Whatever this is, whatever you two have going on, figure it out on your own time. I'm out. I closed the door, locked it, and walked away while they knocked and called my name for another 5 minutes before finally leaving. Final update. The next 72 hours were a blur. Lauren moved out that weekend. She stayed with her sister in Lakewood. Adrian went back to his place after Camila let him get his things, but she wouldn't let him stay. He ended up at his brother's apartment in Aurora. The wedding was obviously off. I had to call the venue. They kept half the deposit. Called the caterer, lost another $1,000. Called the photographer, the DJ, the florist. Everyone was sympathetic, but firm about their cancellation policies. I sent a mass text to the guest list. Wedding is canceled. Personal reasons. Thanks for understanding. Short. Simple. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. My mom cried again, but this time for different reasons. She drove up from Colorado Springs and spent the weekend helping me pack up Lauren's things. We didn't talk much. She'd just hug me every hour or so, tell me it was going to be okay, and make me eat something. Dads are different. Mine called once, said, "You did the right thing," and that was it. That's all I needed to hear. About a week later, Lauren's best friend, Sienna, reached out. We'd always gotten along well. She was funny, grounded, the kind of person who tells you the truth even when it's uncomfortable. I think she felt guilty for not warning me. We met for coffee at this place in Capitol Hill we used to go to as a group. How much did you know? I asked, stirring sugar into my coffee. She stirred her latte, not looking at me. I knew she'd been seeing him again. Not like, physically, but emotionally. They started talking again about 4 months ago, right after you guys sent out the save the dates. For months. Yeah. She told me it was just closure. That she needed to make peace with the past before moving forward with you. I believed her at first. She seemed genuine. And when did you stop believing her? When she started canceling plans to meet up with him. When she'd get this look on her face when his name came up. When she started comparing you to him. That hit harder than I expected. She compared us? Not directly, but little things. Like she'd say Adrian would have found that funny, or Adrian always knew what I needed without asking. I told her it wasn't fair. That you were your own person. That she needed to stop living in the past. And you didn't think to tell me? Sienna finally looked at me, her eyes sad. I told her to. God, I told her so many times. But she kept saying it was harmless. That it didn't mean anything. That she loved you and was going to marry you, and I was overreacting. I wanted to believe her. She's my best friend. I wanted to think she was making the right choice. Going to his house at 2 a.m. isn't harmless. Sienna. I know. I'm sorry. I should have said something. I should have told you what was happening. I didn't want to be the person who ruined your relationship if I was wrong. I didn't blame her. Not really. Lauren was good at convincing people things were fine when they weren't. She was good at making you feel crazy for questioning her. I'd experienced it firsthand. 2 weeks after everything imploded, Camila reached out. She sent me a long message on Instagram thanking me for the screenshot. She said she'd suspected something was going on for months, but didn't have proof. Adrian had been distant, working late, protective of his phone. When she'd ask about it, he'd get defensive. The screenshot gave her everything she needed. She confronted him that morning, and he admitted everything. Not the physical stuff. Apparently that really didn't happen, but the emotional affair. The late-night conversations. The coffee dates. The lunches. The constant texting. The fact that he'd been in love with Lauren the entire time he was with Camila. Camila filed for divorce the next week. She moved in with her parents in Fort Collins. She was planning to raise the baby on her own. She thanked me again in her message, said she'd rather know the truth now than years down the line. She seemed strong. Stronger than I felt. She also told me something that made everything make more sense. Lauren and Adrian had been meeting up regularly for months. It started in June. A chance encounter at a coffee shop downtown. At least that's what Lauren told Sienna. They exchanged numbers. Started texting. Met for lunch as friends. The meetings became more frequent. By August, they were seeing each other 2 or 3 times a week. Coffee before work. Lunch breaks. After work drinks that turned into dinners. Adrian told Camila that nothing physical ever happened. No kissing. No sex. Just talking. Reconnecting. Falling back in love emotionally while pretending it was innocent. Camila said he cried when he admitted it. Said he never meant to hurt anyone. Said he was confused. As for Lauren and Adrian, last I heard, they're not together. Turns out the fantasy of rekindling an old flame doesn't hold up when real consequences hit. Adrian lost his wife and kid over it. Lauren lost me, her reputation, most of her friends, and the wedding she'd been planning for 8 months. Sienna told me Lauren tried reaching out multiple times, long apology texts, voicemails asking if we could talk, messages saying she made a mistake and wanted to explain everything. I never responded. What's there to say? She made her choice. I made mine. It's been 3 months now. Mid-January. I moved to a new apartment in Washington Park. 1 bedroom, hardwood floors, big windows that let in actual sunlight. I needed a fresh start. Threw myself into work. Got promoted to senior analyst in December. Better pay, more responsibility, stuff that keeps my mind busy. Started going to the gym more. Picked up rock climbing. Made some new friends through a hiking group. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. It still sucks sometimes. I'll see something that reminds me of her, or I'll pass the restaurant where we had our first date, and it hits me all over again. This feeling in my chest like something's missing. I'll think about the cabin in the Rockies, the way she looked when I proposed, how happy we seemed. Then I remember the lies, the late nights, the texts, Adrian, and the feeling passes. My friends ask if I regret sending that screenshot, if I think I should have handled it differently, maybe confronted her first, maybe given her a chance to explain before blowing everything up. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me wonders what would have happened if I'd driven over there that night. If I'd walked in and demanded answers. Maybe things would be different. Maybe we would have worked it out. Probably not. She was already gone by then. Had been for months. But I don't regret sending that screenshot. Some people called me petty. Some said I was vindictive. That I should have been the bigger person. My cousin said I weaponized information, and that makes me just as bad as Lauren. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am petty. Maybe it was vindictive. But in that moment, sitting in my apartment at 2 a.m., staring at that message, come pick me up, or I'm not marrying you. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to beg. I didn't want to be the guy who shows up and pleads for his fiancée to come home from her ex-boyfriend's house a week before the wedding. I just wanted the truth to be out there. For everyone to see what was really happening. Not just me sitting alone in the dark wondering if I was crazy. And now it is. Edit 1. Couple people asked what happened to the ring. Returned it. Got about 60% of what I paid back. Used that money for the new apartment's security deposit. Edit 2. Yes, I blocked Lauren on everything. Phone, social media, email. I don't need closure. I don't need her explanation. Some doors you close and lock for a reason. Edit 3. Someone asked if I'd ever take her back if she really apologized and proved she changed. Absolutely not. Trust isn't something you can just rebuild after this. She didn't make one mistake. She made 100 small choices over months that led to that night. Each one was a betrayal. You don't come back from that.